Prepare to experience the strongest radio allowable by law. Secrets will be revealed. Myths dispelled. From the studio gym where excuses never apply, it's Superhuman Radio with your host, Carl Lenore.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of Superhuman Radio. Today is December 8th, and it's Tuesday, which means we have the BluePrint Power Hour starting in just a moment. I'm sucking my teeth because I just finished eating some biltong. So good. Before we get started, of course, we have to thank our title sponsor, and that is Legendary Foods. If you go to shrnetwork.biz/legendary and use the code SHR10, you'll save 10% off your entire order. And don't forget to check out the new flavors in the tasty pastry. Blueberry and hot fudge sundae, 15 grams of protein, not loaded with a ton of fiber, and more importantly, less than 1 gram of sugar. In the case of these two, zero sugar. So if you're a low sugar person like me, shrnetwork.biz/legendary, use code SHR10. To learn more about them, go to their website. Use shrnetwork.biz/legendary to get there. Now, without further delay, I will play his music. And for once, it's going to play on time.
Calling all BluePrint Army. Fall in line. It's time for the BluePrint Power Hour with Coach Rob Regish on the Superhuman Radio Network.
Hey, Rob, how you doing?
I am doing well. As you and I discussed earlier, I got a new phone, and so I'm learning the ins and outs of it. But that's the latest with me.
What's going on with the BluePrint Bulletin? Are you still running the special, the Black Friday special? Is that still going on?
Yeah, we are. We decided actually to extend it because so many people had come on board, and so many people wrote to say, hey, I just heard about it this week, or, you know, they were otherwise concerned about getting in. But we're going to keep that open at least for another couple of weeks. And the deal is this. We're talking about a Christmas present for you. And in my experience, if you want to get something what you really want for Christmas, don't leave it up to somebody else. Get something you really want. So what we're talking about is a couple of things. One, you're going to get 3 full months of access to the BluePrint Bulletin for just $5 a month. Plus, and this is really the big one, you get immediate access to the entire online library, which is now over 100 issues. And, you know, if you're asking the question, what is the BluePrint Bulletin? Picture the BluePrint Power Hour on steroids, okay? We talk about a lot of this good stuff, and certainly more than a few things that I don't talk about on the show, right, that I save for subscribers. So having said that, you can get a free sample issue on my website, coachrobregish.com. And to get that offer, the coupon.
We have a special link. If you want to take advantage of this offer, you got to go to shrnetwork.biz/coachrob and use code SHR5, SHR and the number 5.
Right. And so I can confidently state that when you get your first look at that entire library, I think you will agree with me wholeheartedly. It is the single biggest repository of such information on the web. And I'm tremendously proud of it. And I know for a fact it's going to breathe new life into everything that you're doing, especially this stuff.
Okay. And now we will get on to business at hand. And the first question that we have to answer comes from Anthony Massaro. He says, I need desperately to gain mass. I'm 5'10" and only 150 pounds. But nothing I do has been working. Even creatine didn't work for me. At what point do you just throw in the towel or at least know that bodybuilding isn't for you?
When this question comes up, traditionally, the way I answer it is, okay, you think you're eating enough, let's go over that. And almost invariably, that's where the problem lies. But I'm going to come at this from a little bit different angle, because there are other important reasons why you're not going to be throwing that towel in anytime soon. It is true that not everyone is perhaps born or destined to achieve lifting greatness. In fact, there was once a Canadian-born boy. He was born cross-eyed and with a club foot and with other developmental disabilities. And upon seeing him for the first time, his father was reported to have said, "Why don't you just shoot him and put him out of his misery?" So he wasn't born with all the advantages you and I were, right? Most people, like his father, had no expectations of him, and certainly not very lofty expectations. In his mind, the kid was done before he even started life, except that this kid's name was Doug Hepburn. Doug Hepburn was born in September of 1926, and his best recorded lifts were as follows: press off the rack, 450 pounds. Push press off the rack, 500 pounds. One arm military, 200 pounds, and 37 reps each arm with 120 pounds. Two-hand barbell curl, 260 pounds. Bench press, 580 pounds. Squat and deadlift, 800 pounds. All of those lifts, by the way, were basically done before steroid use and without wearing all of the gear, if you will, that you see at powerlifting meets today. And those lifts were made, many of them, under contest conditions. So they were the genuine article. He was many times a world champion, lifting weights that few people even dream about. So the answer of knowing when to throw the towel in is easy. Never. You may not be cut out to lift world record weights, but everyone is cut out to get stronger than yesterday. I don't know if anybody's ever said that, but I just did, and it's worth remembering. By the way, a little bit of trivia here. Doug Hepburn didn't die until the year 2000. So he lived a good, long life, which is proof positive that gargantuan size and strength can coexist with health, right? Mm-hmm. And so whenever you're thinking about throwing the towel in, think about Doug Hepburn. It's
when did he die? I was just looking online to see when he died.
It said the year 2000. I don't know that I found an actual date.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I'm looking at it now. Died November 22nd, 2000. Wow.
Yeah. So we're talking about
1926.
Yeah.
He was born a couple years later than my parents, so he was pretty old.
Yeah, I mean, he lived well into his 70s, right?
Yeah.
If my math is right, and it rarely is, but just an incredible inspiration. If you ever have the time, read about Doug Hepburn's story. You can't help but be inspired.
I wonder what was wrong with him that made the doctor or whoever said, just shoot him now. What anomaly did he have? I mean, look, he had to be a big baby because he's a big human.
Yes, but he was born cross-eyed. And I think he had a club foot, so to speak. And he was written off as a cripple. Yeah. The reality was he was a future world champion.
That's amazing. That's an amazing story. Really, really amazing. Okay. The next question comes from Wayne Enos. He says, I've been listening to you pretty much from day one and continue to learn something new every episode. Is this all you've ever done? Because you have a lot of knowledge about almost everything, or at least very informed opinions. I have to believe this is your life. Is that true?
It's an interesting question. And it also leads to the next question. Does this need to be your life in order for you to be successful at it or even knowledgeable? And I'll say that's a resounding no. However, it would be accurate to say that, training, as I'll call it, in all things related to it, are a big, big part of my life, and they have been ever since my early teens, so the last 35 years or so. It certainly isn't my only interest. Okay, I could tell you almost as much about military aircraft, certain weapon systems, and other things that I just have a keen interest in. And somehow or another, I worked in the insurance industry for 20 years, which, you might be surprised to hear. You can learn a little bit about the kind of shape that you keep yourself in and its effect on morbidity and mortality. And the reason I'm saying that is I worked with the actuaries, which were people who crunch statistics like you wouldn't believe and could tell you pretty reliably how long you're going to live. And that's why companies make money on life insurance. And also the long-term care angle. I worked in basically insurance for nursing homes for many, many years. So I got to see the effect that tending to your health or not has on you. I also, other interests, I take jujitsu classes for about 4 years now. But those and other interests really never rose to the level of obsession that training did. The more I worked in insurance, the more I dreamed. I would lay down at night and dream of a day when that world would go away and you just let me do what I'm doing now, which is, I can honestly tell you this, for almost 2 decades, training was the last thing I remember thinking about before going to bed. And it was the first thing I remember thinking about when I woke up. And so every spare minute I had in between that, I spent, learning, reading, and experimenting. Looking back on things, it wasn't the fact that it was the only thing in my life. It was the intensity of my interest, right? And when you have an intense interest in something, you will stop at nothing to learn more about it and to become successful at it. There was no amount of money I wasn't willing to part with. And I probably parted with way too much because, I started using supplements early, and needless to say, there wasn't a lot on the market then that did anything. I also never had a buying guide like I could put out today and do put out today. But be that as it may, to me, the beauty was in the simplicity. If you trained hard and you trained smart and you did everything right, there would be a payoff, which would be I either got bigger or stronger or both. If I didn't train hard, if I didn't train smart, and I made mistakes anywhere in there, I didn't get bigger or stronger. You see how simple that is? The rest of the world never seemed so simple to me. And so as an example, I saw people, good people, work themselves to the bone, and their employers canned them anyway because there was a recession on, and the board of directors decided to cut 5% across the board this year. These people didn't do anything wrong. They were the victim of circumstance, and a lot of them, their lives were ruined. They got divorced, they lost their homes, their cars were repossessed. It's scary stuff. I also saw good husbands whose spouses left them just on a whim for other men, took the kids, and the courts backed the people, mostly the women who left, backed them up all the way. I mean, unless you're a woman with a heroin needle hanging out of your arm, they're going to give you the kids, and that's wrong. But that's how that's how family court is today. The world doesn't seem to care. Being a good husband means nothing to the courts, means nothing to the judge. You'd think, right? That would count for something. No.
I know. When I went through my divorce, I was shocked to learn that there's no justice in family court. There's nothing about fairness in family court. There are biases. If you're a man, you are a perpetrator, you are a terrorist, you are an abuser. It doesn't matter if you're really those things. When you walk in, that's who you are.
Yep. And that's not right, but that's another topic for another day. So I couldn't control that. What I could control was what I knew And so when I was about age 30, I decided to compile everything that I knew, or most of it, into a book about training, right? And share that with as many people as would pick the book up and recognize, you know what? There's a lot of truth in this. This guy's not trying to sell me anything other than here are the mistakes I made. Don't make them like I did, right? And the fact of the matter is this: once you have that knowledge, nobody can ever take that away from you. Unlike your employer who can fire you or your spouse who can leave you, nobody can take the compiled knowledge that you have here and the body that you build as a result of that knowledge away. SHR to me it's a broad extension of the Blueprint, the book that I originally wrote. It's for people who love this stuff and realize many of the same truths that we speak here every week. So it's my hope that every Blueprint Power Hour that I do inspires someone, at least gives them something to think about. So no, training isn't my only interest. I don't think, even if it was, I don't think that would be the optimal thing for most people. It is the one that I care about the most. I've been blessed beyond words doing the job that I'm doing. And so I would only tell you this: if there's something that you're that passionate about, pursue it, because you never know where it might go. And if, like me, if you die tomorrow, you will go out knowing you did what you were put here to do. And you gave it everything that you had, and they can never take that away from you. And those are the kind of things, not how much money you made, not what kind of car you drove, that they talk about at funerals.
Yeah.
Yep.
The next question comes from, John Welch. He says, I am a longtime user of Progenidrecks and love the stuff. Every time I go on it, I can feel it and see it on the scale. So to me, it's money well spent. He goes on. There's even a doctor who wrote a review about it saying how impressed he was. Does it really contain no hormones? And he probably means no anabolic steroids.
Yeah. You know what? I get this question a lot between Synthogen and Progenidrecks, especially. They're like, look, what's really in it? And obviously that differs, that they get a hold of Synthogen and all of a sudden they're bouncing back from workouts like they were teenagers again. And they want to know what's up. And then when they get Progenidrecks, they notice, they can eat more food, particularly carbohydrates, and it's not showing up on their waist. So they're lifting slightly heavier weights in the gym. And they're like, okay, what's the deal? This feels like a little something extra. I understand why people are skeptical, because unfortunately companies in the sports nutrition game have played this game that way before. They've put real anabolic steroids in their products. They put really strong designer stimulants in their pre-workouts.
I want to mention something. So I know a company,
no
longer in business, but they were using such powerful an oral anabolic steroid that they incorporated it into the gel cap.
Yes, I heard about that.
And so when the FDA, suspecting that there was real gear in these supplements, had them sent for analysis, what's the first thing they did? They opened up the cap, they put the powder out, and they tested the powder. Says, no, it's nothing in here. And the FDA never figured it out. They never figured it out, that what was really the agent causing all the muscle gains was in the two little capsules that they put together.
That really is ingenious. That company deserves to be in business still. If they could just put that same time and energy towards legitimate products.
Yeah, right.
But look, short answer and an easy answer. In the case of both products, but especially Progenidrecks, because you're asking about it, there are no hormones in either product, as neither requires hormones to have a feelable effect, if you will. The fact is, the body has other mechanisms that are central to the recovery and growth process that can be modulated, I'll call it, with non-hormonal compounds, right? Alternatively, those same non-hormonals can be used to positively affect hormonal outcomes. And what I'm talking about there is you're doing something that causes an improvement in one of your hormone levels, but you're doing it by coaxing your body to make more, or there's a better balance of it, and there's no disruption or downregulation as there would be by taking an active hormone, I'll call it. For example, we've discussed TMG, trimethylglycine, here many, many times, aka betaine. It is simply the amino acid glycine with 3 methyl groups attached, right? But studies show that there's a cell volumizing effect, not unlike creatines, right? But also there's a measurable effect on IGF-1 levels and cortisol levels, raising and lowering them, I think, respectively. So those are both hormones, right? But note that TMG is not a hormone, is not even close. It isn't supplying IGF-1, nor is cortisol being squashed like the way, guys would take Citadrin, massive amounts of it, and other things to drive cortisol, to crush it, almost out of existence. So it's useful to know, certainly, then, what each ingredient is doing in order for you to make an educated buying decision. So how is Progenidrecks doing what it does? By label, it's anacyclus perethrum, creatine hydrochloride, R-alpha-lipoic acid, sodium diphosphate, and laxogenin. And so if you're trying to determine whether it works to the extent that makes it cost effective for you, first thing you'll notice is a kind of feel-good effect. Tough to put your finger on it, but it's there. I suspect it has to do with the effect with anacyclus has on the brain. That's something, by the way, that I would encourage you to read about. There's a website, examine.com. They do not sell supplements. They're just a research-based website. I think certainly Adele over there at Subversity has also written about this. Turns out anacyclus also has research showing that more carbs that are consumed are stored as glycogen, right? Or stored carbohydrate in the muscle cell versus converting to triglyceride, something that, as an example of overlapping ingredients, RALA helps with as well. And when I say overlapping, I mean in terms of a backup safety net type of mechanism where you will certainly get this effect, either from the anacyclus or the RALA, one of the two, but you're going to get it. RALA is also a player in making sure that the creatine in the product, more of it anyway, makes it into your muscles, okay? And as I covered last week, I think it was, creatine transport is primarily sodium dependent for crossing the cell gradient, right? Making it into the muscle cell where it can sit, attract water, and perform other minor miracles to grow muscle and enhance health, as it turns out, in the way that it does. In fact, creatine transport into the muscle cell is more sodium dependent than insulin dependent, which early on, guys were taking 75, 100 grams of sugar along with their creatine in order to ensure this big insulin response. I don't think you need that. 100 grams of sugar isn't good for anybody. I'm sorry. And it still leaves the sodium out of the equation. Finally, the laxogenin in the product has some nice anti-inflammatory effects. I also suspect that as an analog of ecti, it further helps in keeping the fat off by positively modulating your blood sugar. This is one of the big benefits. I would say it's the biggest that ecti has. People don't necessarily see it until they get their blood work back. They can certainly see it, I think, after 2, 3, 4 months of use, and they're a little bit leaner and they're a little bit stronger. So at the end of the day, look, no hormones in the product. You should have a bigger appetite. You should be able to eat more carbs and without them showing around your waist. And also, additionally keep some fat off by positively affecting blood sugar. We haven't changed the formula, which is over 5 years now. We haven't changed the formula one bit since day one. And the reason for that is simple. It works really, really well for most, which is why you saw that rave review from the doctor on Predator. I think it's predatornutrition.com and elsewhere. So if I remember correctly, he ran it through a battery of tests to determine whether or not it was, screwing with testosterone levels. Didn't find that. Same thing with growth hormone. Didn't find that. That's not how it works. But at the end of the day, it does work. And that's what's important. And it works without hormones.
We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we have more questions. The next question is going to be from Timothy Well. You're watching and listening to the Blueprint Power Hour. You can go to CoachRobRegish.com or use the code shrnetwork.biz/ Coach Rob, I think it is. Let me make sure.
Yeah.
Let me just put this up here real quick so that I can remind myself. Yes, shrnetwork.biz / Coach Rob. You can use the code SHR5 to get the Blueprint Bulletin 3 months for $14.99, less than $5 a month. Test drive it. See what you think of it. We'll be right back with more. Stay tuned. By now, you're aware of the cognitive benefits of nootropics. My friends over at Pure Nootropics are giving my listeners 10 to 30% off their already great prices on over 70 high-quality nootropics. Stock up on DHM so you can feel good after your holiday celebration, or try the Superhuman Stack to boost your brain and energize your day. Go to shrnetwork.biz/pure, that's PURE, and start saving today. I love beef. And if you love beef, listen up. I've discovered the best tasting beef in the world, and that's not an exaggeration, at Piedmontese.com. The Piedmontese breed is famous from Italy for being lean and unbelievably tender, with half the fat and calories of traditional beef. Even typically tough cuts are tender when it comes from the Piedmontese cows. And for the first time ever, Piedmontese cows are being raised here in the USA. Get 25% off all beef and free shipping on orders of $100 or more at Piedmontese.com with code SHR. Go to PIEDMONTESE.com and use code SHR today. You will never eat any other type of beef ever again. Hippocrates, the father of modern medicine, said that all disease begins in your gut. That's why it's so important to protect yourself with boosted immune system. If you drink coffee, tea, smoothies, or really any beverage in the morning, and you're looking for a tasty way to start your day and defend yourself against harmful bacteria, then I have just the thing for you to try. It's called the Ultimate Immunity Protection Stack, and it was put together by my friends over at Bioptimizers. Their immunity stack has 3 products which contain over 18 natural herbs and probiotic blends formulated to fight and eliminate bad bacteria like E. coli, salmonella, gram-positive and gram-negative bacteria, and repair compromised gut lining. It also includes psychobiotics, which help increase serotonin and happy chemicals to naturally elevate your mood, performance, and cognitive function with no side effects or dependencies. It's a great addition to your morning routine, and it tastes amazing. Just stir it into any beverage, sip, and enjoy. It's the ultimate way to boost your immune system right before the holiday season. Go to shrnetwork.biz/protect and use code SHR10 and save an extra 10% off on the. You won't find this deal or stack anywhere else. For fast shipping and the best deal, go to shrnetwork.biz/protect today.
When craving a snack, reach for Select Savory Snack Sugar-Free Biltong, the healthy alternative to sugar-laden beef jerky. They use a fattier cut of beef, making it more tender and flavorful. For mealtime, choose from their 63 seasonings, which are sugar and additive-free. From chipotle rub to savory pumpkin spice, you'll find an option to suit your palate. Go to shrnetwork.biz/SSS today. Use code SHR15 to save 15% on any meat snack or seasoning. Savor the flavor today.
Everybody wants to feel better, be healthier and happier. If you don't sweat profusely on a regular basis, you won't feel as good as you could. Studies have shown the power of infrared sauna. Infrared penetrates 1 to 2 inches into the body. It helps those with back pain, fibromyalgia, arthritis, depression, and anxiety. Patients patients get relief from infrared sauna. The Good Health Sauna has been shown to be an exercise mimetic, conveying many of the same benefits as cardio. There are a lot of reasons people buy a Good Health Sauna, but the bottom line is you will be a much happier, healthier person by using the Good Health Sauna every day. You'll crave it, you'll love it, and it will be the best purchase you have ever made. Good Health Saunas provide commercial-grade saunas for in-home and commercial use, backed by the best lifetime warranty in the industry. Unmatched customer service and the best financing makes owning one easy and will fit any budget. Go to goodhealthsauna.com/superhumanradio to learn more and save 25% off. Do you remember those delicious toaster pastries you had when you were a kid? You know, the rectangular sugar-filled snacks? Well, guess what? Legendary Foods has just made low-carb toaster pastry. This is the first of its kind, and honestly, these things are amazing. They have 3 to 4 net carb, less than 1 gram of sugar, and 9 grams of protein. You can eat them right out of the wrapper or lightly toast them. The only question is, which flavor? Strawberry or brown sugar cinnamon? They're available at eatlegendary.com and Amazon.
You're listening to the Superhuman Channel. Don't hate us because we feel good.
Welcome back. I'm adjusting my green screen.
Something happened when you did the green screen. You're breaking up on me quite a bit. I'm just getting a word here or there. I can launch into my answer if you can hear me okay. Yeah. So it's kind of funny. I got this question after the last one because the story of Zoe is the story of a company that I think did slip hormones into some of their products, but on the other hand, they feel they did have some products that were legit. So the first thing we need to do is first thing we need to do is define what Zoe we're talking about, because the original and only company to make legitimate Zebutol was Zoe Discoveries. Do not be misled by Zoe Labs, Zoe Enterprises, or any such scam company, I'll call them. I couldn't find Zebutol online, but I did find all sorts of fake products with steroid-sounding names that are designed to trick the kiddies into thinking they found legal steroids. That's not the case. Zoe Discoveries was around in the early to mid-90s. First, with a laxogenin product, laxogenin acetate. That product was very simply named ecdysterone, and they were small white sublinguals. Zebutol, the product in question, was a purported sumasterol extract. And then they had another product called Anabolica later. I'm sorry.
Here we go.
Better?
Hold on. We lost the internet is what happened. Are you there, Rob?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. We literally had an internet blackout. They're building a new office upstairs from me. I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't do something up there. But anyway, we're back on now.
Okay.
Let's carry on. So the next question comes from Timothy Well.
Yep.
And he says, whatever happened to the company Zoe? It was actually Zoe Labs. Can you tell me why Zebutol had such a cult following?
I laugh because the last question was about slipping hormones into supplements.
Oh, is that what they were doing, Zoe Labs?
Well, that's a part of Zoe Labs' story. The other part, interestingly enough, is they did have some legitimate products that worked that were not hormonal, at least in my opinion. So but the first thing we need to do is define what Zoe we're talking about, because there's more than one.
Yeah, because
The
wasn't one company making synthol? There was a Zebuto Labs that made escalene or something like that.
Yeah, and you know what? Here's how you can tell. Zoe Discoveries was the original Zebuto. Do not be confused or misled, I should say, by Zoe Labs, or Zoe Enterprises, or any such company. Now, I couldn't find Zeb out there today online, but I did find under the sort of Zoe label all sorts of fake products with steroid sounding names that are designed to trick the kiddies into thinking they just stumbled across legal steroids. Oh boy, let's get mom's credit card out. Zoe Discoveries, the original, was around in the early to mid 90s. First, with the laxogen and acetate product, which was simply named ecdysterone, small white sublinguals, only 1.5 milligrams, if you can believe it. Zebuto, the product in question, was a summa sterol extract. And they also had a short-lived product called Anabolica, which I can't recall what was in that, but I do remember it worked even better and faster than with Zeb, or than Zeb rather. And I have another interesting story about that in a little bit. I can tell you with certainty that for many years that the eccentric chemist Mark Thierman, who is spoken about quite a bit in the book Steroid Nation, great read if you get a chance, he formulated most of their products, including all of the ecdysterone derivatives, as well as something that I haven't seen since, which I thought was great, DCP, something called dicyclopentanone. In fact, if you scratch around on PubMed under that heading, dicyclopentanone, you'll find at least one study citing the quote-unquote anabolic activity of some dicyclopentanone derivatives. It was a black tar-like smelling substance that was put into these gel tabs, and man, did it work great. That study, which was published in Russian in 1975, came to the conclusion that although non-hormonal, DCP was twice as anabolic as the reference compound that they used, which was methyl androstenediol. Very interesting reading if you can come across a translated version. I actually spoke with Mark Thierman once while I was writing the original BluePrint. He has since passed on, or at least that's a story that's going around. There are many people who think he faked his own death, right? Because he had been in hot water with the government. They took everything he ever, accumulated and owned over I think it was GHB manufacturing and a few other things. But it would be fair to say that most of Zoe's products picked up kind of where Atletica's Retabol left off. And why? Because they too provided a tangible, feelable effect, and that kind of furthered my and other people's interest in it. And you can still see people looking for Zebuto to this day, almost 30 years later. What was in it? Damned if I know. And I had several of them tested. The bottle of Zeb that I sent away for to have tested, the results of those tests came back as inconclusive. So I asked them what that meant, and they said, look, we can tell that there's some sterol related compound in there. But whether that was an ecdysteroid or the real deal, they couldn't say. Why do people still look for it? Well, a bottle of Zeb was good for 10 pounds on most people. And, the weight started coming on around week 3, and it continued through week 6 to 8, depending upon how long you ran it. In retrospect, Zebuto itself did not feel hormonal. Their other product, hexandrolone, however, was another story. They were the small white sublinguals. The only thing I could get out of the company at the time was it was a quote unquote more efficient Zebuto. You gained 10 pounds, not in 8 weeks, but in like 3 weeks. It came on quick. That, and I got more than a central nervous system tickle out of it. It made me train harder. But here's the thing: when I had blood work done, it put my HDLs in the cellar. So little wonder it didn't last long. What was it? Was it methyl testosterone? I don't know. I really don't know. But Zoe in general, long story short, these products are long gone, and it's anyone's guess what was really in them. There is one fun fact you might be interested in. Zoe, the company, was named after the owner's pet pig, Zoe.
That's funny.
Yeah, and today that and the legend of how well some of their Ecti products work is all that remains of them. There is no real Zoe out there today.
It's really funny. Back in the day,
Yeah,
20 years ago or so, there were a lot of Bunk Gear websites. They were out in the open. There was a guy named Brian Clapp who had 2 or 3 different websites that all had steroid in their names, and they used labels, names like instead of Diana Bowl, it was D Bowl, D-Bowl.
They're still doing it.
Yeah, and so when you read the ingredients, it had fenugreek and it had cayenne pepper. It had DHEA. That was the one thing it had, DHEA.
Yep.
And they preyed upon young high school and uneducated about gear college guys who thought they were really buying real anabolic steroids on the internet. He made hundreds of thousands of dollars. And here's the interesting snafu, right? The FDA didn't care because he wasn't selling anything illegal. So he was operating in this gray area where he was ripping people off. He never said these were real anabolic steroids in anything, but he used these names to imply and sold them at very high prices. I mean, a bottle of DHEA is what, $6, $8. I mean, he was getting like $65 for this. Stack it with that. These people were spending $150 thinking that they were somehow circumventing the FDA authority and buying real steroids. So he operated in this cloud where the FDA didn't care what he was doing because he wasn't selling anything illegal. And what was the kid going to do? Go to his father and say, I thought I was buying steroids. It's bunk.
Right.
And he operated for a long time until Anthony Roberts wrote an article about him. And then the FDA took an interest. I'm sure he's gone now. He has to be gone now. I've never heard anything else about him. But he operated this was very common in the early days. There wasn't the celebrity sports athletes being nailed by WADA and stuff like that, and these guys were just ripping and running. Either they were selling things that had steroids in them but didn't say it on the label, or they were selling things that were supposed to look and smell like steroids but had nothing in the capsules whatsoever. It was just funny.
It's still going on. I mean, if you Google Zebuto Labs, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's just a complete scam.
Really?
Yeah, it's like you just said. Instead of Diana Ball, D Ball. Instead of DECA, DECA, it's DEKKA.
Yeah, right.
And instead of it's
there's a sucker born every minute, right?
Exactly.
Rod Trongard says you seem fond of compound movements. Are there any isolation movements that you think are worthwhile?
Fairly easy question to answer, but look, the fact of the matter is this: if everyone lifting weights performed only big compound lifts, there'd be a lot more muscle in the world. To my mind, a lot of time and energy is wasted on these little movements trying to quote unquote isolate a muscle or muscle group. So, you tell me, where in life though are you isolating your muscle groups in performing work? I can't think of a single example. As an example, when you lift a child over your head or you lift a bag of groceries, you're not isolating muscles. You push a wheelbarrow, you're not isolating the, quadricep muscle or the vastus medialis. Your entire body is pushing that wheelbarrow. So you're using all of your muscles. The body functions as a unit, and multiple muscle groups contract simultaneously to perform work. In fact, if there's any secret to being really strong, it is this: train as much muscle as you can to contract simultaneously as fast as possible, and your power will increase, I promise you, exponentially. You've heard of the grandmother who lifted a car off her grandchildren after an accident. It's a true story. It happened up in New Hampshire. What you saw that day was someone who, obviously under the influence of a hell of a lot of adrenaline, used every muscle group in her body to lift that car. She didn't isolate any muscles in doing so. In fact, it was quite the opposite. That's also, by the way, the reason that the top range rack pull that I speak of so fondly works and works so well. Yes, you're only moving the weight an inch or two, but here's the thing. The muscles of your body, when they're asked to contract against resistance like that, they don't know range of motion. They do know tension, and a dramatic rise in tension due to trying to lift that, huge amount of weight is what allowed this grandmother to perform this superhuman feat. So you will never come close to doing anything like that by isolating muscles, in my opinion. Now, in my gym, there's a cable crossover unit right smack dab in the middle of it. Branching off of that cable crossover unit are other cables. You got high and low pulleys and lat pull down stations and other cable stuff. The only part of it I think that is worthwhile is running across the top is a chin-up bar right in the middle. And it drives me nuts that I can almost never get in there because I'm looking at a bunch of morons doing cable curls, tricep kickbacks and other nonsense, right? And if these people put that same time and energy into chin-ups, they'd be a lot stronger and they'd have a lot more muscle. In fact, I've come to the conclusion that the fastest way to attract a large amount of gym idiots is to set up a cable crossover station. They just seem to flock to it, all day long. It's not like it stands still, like the four-way neck machine or the reverse hyper, ironically enough. That'll do it just about every time. But that's the answer to your question. The answer is I use almost no isolation movements unless I'm trying to flush blood into an area, like leg extensions, to get some blood in my knees prior to squatting. The only injury that I've ever had that's required surgery was a result of an isolation movement, dumbbell side laterals. So, and yeah, I did get carried away with the weight, but still, it's putting your shoulder and other muscles into a very disadvantageous position. It's not a movement where you can lift a lot of weight, and consequently, its ability to stimulate muscle growth is limited. That's my 2 cents on it.
But I mean, if you're doing pull downs, you're activating more than one muscle.
That's a compound.
You can use cables to do things that gravity doesn't favor, like doing cable curls. If you're going to do curls, Doing a barbell curl obviously activates a lot of muscle, but so does doing a cable curl, and possibly hits the bicep even greater, because once you get past parallel, the effect of gravity on the weight that you're moving, if you're using, let's say, a dumbbell or barbell, it drops. It starts to shift, and where a cable won't forgive you at the top end of the movement, the weight stays the same. But I get what you're saying, and I think that the pull up and the chin up are really avoided because they're so hard. Most of us could do 2 or 3 good chin ups.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, that sucks. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go do something I can do 8 to 10. Even though that chin up, even if you only get 4 out and grow into 5 and then into 6, is going to activate a lot more muscle and build a lot more muscle too. But that's why people don't do them, because they're too hard.
Yeah, that's probably you're right. You're absolutely right.
Let's take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we have the BluePrint tip of the day. And then later I got a little rant I'm going to let go. If Rob wants to stay for it, he's welcome to stay. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. TaylorMade Health is focused on making sure you're able to perform and look your best. They are a leader in game-changing supplements and cosmetic products. Whether you want to increase strength, expedite recovery, facilitate soft tissue repair, or reduce deep wrinkles, TaylorMade Health has you covered. TaylorMade Health is also the home to Dr. Seed's products such as BPC, BPC Plus, and the Chill Pill. All of my listeners can now get 20% off their first order with code TRY20. That's TRY20. This code can even be used on subscription orders. Visit shrnetwork.biz/try20 today and use code TRY20 for 20% off your first order.
New Mass Pro Synthogen X2 just upped its own legendary game. To distance itself even further from the rest of the pack, Synthogen X2 now has double the key active ingredients. If you've ever wondered what steroid-like recovery feels like, Synthogen X2 delivers. See why others compare it favorably to powerful bodybuilding drugs at synthogen.com. Mass Pro Synthogen. When you train with it, you'll gain with it.
Quest Nutrition makes bars, cookies, chips, and pizzas out of complete dairy-based proteins. Our products minimize net carbs and sugar without sacrificing taste. Each delicious chocolate-flavored chip, cookie chunk, and crunchy crumble is custom made to maintain Quest macros. It's time to enjoy foods that work for you, not against you. It's time to enjoy your Quest.
Whether your goal is to build muscle or burn fat, you'll find everything you need at Redcon One. Need help getting a good night's sleep? Try Fade Out, or the most popular pre-workout supplement on the market today, Total War. Sign up for their new Transformation Challenge and win $10,000, or shop for apparel that people at the gym will know that you are serious about your training. Need a testosterone booster that works? Check out Boomstick. Whatever you need, you'll find the best quality supplements on the market at Redcon One. Go to redcon1.com. That's REDCON, the number 1.com, or go to superhumanradio.net and click the Redcon One banner ads today. Hippocrates, the father of modern medicine, said that all disease begins in your gut. That's why it's so important to protect yourself with a boosted immune system. If you drink coffee, tea, smoothies, or really any beverage in the morning, and you're looking for a tasty way to start your day and defend yourself against harmful bacteria, then I have just the thing for you to try. It's called the Ultimate Immunity Protection Stack, and it was put together by my friends over at Bioptimizers. Their immunity stack has 3 products which contain over 18 natural herbs and probiotic blends formulated to fight and eliminate bad bacteria like E. coli, salmonella, gram-positive and gram-negative bacteria, and repair compromised gut lining. It also includes psychobiotics, which help increase serotonin and happy chemicals to naturally elevate your mood, performance, and cognitive function with no side effects or dependencies. It's a great addition to your morning routine, and it tastes amazing. Just stir it into any beverage, sip, and enjoy. It's the ultimate way to boost your immune system right before the holiday season. Go to shrnetwork.biz/protect and use code SHR10 and save an extra 10% off on You won't find this deal or stack anywhere else. For fast shipping and the best deal, go to shrnetwork.biz/protect today.
Proper hydration can lead to improved endurance, performance, and recovery. When we sweat, we lose valuable electrolytes that must be replaced. That's why Element created a zero-sugar, science-backed ratio of electrolytes that you can add to your water. It comes in 3 flavors. Sample them all risk-free with the Element Variety Pack. Carl's favorite is raspberry. Free shipping on all U.S. orders. Go to shrnetwork.biz/LMNT and get yours today.
This is the Superhuman Channel. evolution just got kicked up a notch.
Welcome back. So, Rob, what is the Blueprint tip of the day?
Tip of the day has to do with what you got between your ears, at least when it comes to training knowledge, and the fact that it's absolutely priceless. And every now and then I get a reminder of this. And so yesterday was one of those days. I was looking forward to hitting my 5 sets of 5 target deadlift, which I have methodically, slowly been building towards. And, yesterday was going to be the day. Things have been going like clockwork, week in and week out. But of course, every now and then, life throws you a curveball. There was something in my lower back that didn't feel right. I'm not talking about pain of any sort. I don't have any pain. And there was nothing preventing me from handling my warm-up weights, but there was something there. And I knew had I proceeded, I was asking for it. Something was wrong. Still can't put my finger on it. It's almost gone, but I was like, okay, live to fight another day. And I stripped the bar and I went to plan B, which was, hey, okay, I can't do lower body. I'll do some upper body. I started with handstand push-ups, which I know, and I've talked about it before. I know they're a superior movement for just about every pressing muscle in your upper body. And so I was cranking out rep after rep, and more importantly, I was kicking up against the wall and nailing it every time. And that's something I had been working really hard on, because as easy as it sounds, it's not. If you've ever tried it, you know what I'm talking about. Over the years, I've developed and written about what I think is the fastest way to perform these, and the little trick I give to kick up onto the wall and not tumble back down and have to kick up again, eating up all of your energy. That made the difference. So as things went on, they not only felt effortless, they seemed to get easier, right, as the sets rolled by. Here's the thing, though. Usually I'll try to perform max reps or add as much weight vest as I can. Yesterday, I decided to keep things really easy, meaning just sets of 3 reps. So 1 set goes by, 2 sets, 3 sets. Before I know it, that turns into 10 and eventually 12, right, for a grand total of 36 reps. I felt like a kid again. I really did. In between, because of the lower back thing, I took advantage of our reverse hyper, right? Did a few high rep sets to flush blood in there. But after my 12th and final set of handstand push-ups, I felt like $1 million. And this is after feeling dejected, right? Because I couldn't hit the deadlift target that I have been so patiently building towards. I've expanded on the virtues of that movement, handstand shoulder press, before, and had been performing them regularly again. Why? Because they pair exceptionally well with the chin-ups that I've been also working so hard on, and I have a very specific program for. In many ways, I think they're even superior to dips if you can do them, which is one hell of an upper body exercise in its own right. They make you feel fantastic, which is likely a function of several things, but one is the improved blood flow to the brain, I'm sure. The balance that's needed to stay inverted is another one. And of course, you got to have a lot of pound for pound strength in order to pull everything off. They are very good. It's a very good exercise at revealing your relative strength. So, whether you're 100 pounds or 300 pounds, if you see someone doing them, pretty much that they have worked really hard to squeeze everything out of their potential, right? It's like a one-arm chin-up. You can take that lift anywhere in the world and rightfully be proud of it, because it's no easy task. Most people won't even attempt it. And yesterday I saw somebody attempt it. He almost broke his neck because he just wanted to launch into it on a whim. So notice what I didn't do yesterday, though. What I didn't do was I didn't say, oh, woe is me, and go home. I didn't revert to my normal upper body workout either. And I didn't tell myself I was this old and broken down old man of 52. What I did do was attempt something different, slightly different. Something, as it turns out, that nobody else in that gym was doing. And something that I knew held a lot of value. I didn't need to go home and brush up on it. I could have, but I didn't need to. That knowledge was already up here. It just took this minor crisis, lower back issue, to bring it out. And believe it or not, I'm actually glad that my lower back felt iffy yesterday. Because today, I have a whole new outlook on things, especially upper body training. I have new goals. And importantly, I have a new plan and a truckload of motivation to get me there. Having a small library of these things waiting in the wings for these types of occasions is critical. It becomes more and more critical the older you get. While I can't see myself, let's say at age 60, military pressing 300 pounds, I can for sure see myself pulling off a 300-pound handstand push-up. And why do I say that? Because right now, I can do 1 rep with a 25-pound weight vest. Add that to 225, there's your 250. It's a matter of 50 pounds, which is a fair amount to go, but think about it. I put a 10-year timeline on it. You damn sure better be able to get to it as long as you're injury-free. And that's with a severely arthritic right elbow, right? I mean, anytime I try to put any weight on a barbell bench press or even overhead press, it is a very sharp, right, stabbing pain. And I know the exact reason why that hurts versus handstand push-ups that I can crank out with relative ease. The elbows naturally fall in the handstand push-up into their safest and strongest position while you press, which is out in front of the body. You can see for yourself. Fall forward to the ground and tell me where your elbows wind up. It's not splayed out to the side like on a bench press. It's in front of your body. The body is assuming its safest and strongest, by the way, position. The point I'm trying to make here is this. Things aren't always going to go according to plan. My plan yesterday went out the window, but I had a backup plan waiting in the wings. And because I've written extensively about this stuff, which only came after I read extensively about it, I have an incredibly effective method now to rapidly gain strength in that particular movement and lots of others. And that's true if you can do a dozen reps or 2 dozen or even 1 rep now. It's something to build from. The fact is, everyone needs something like that. And the good news is it's out there today, right? It doesn't come in a bottle. It doesn't come in anything that you can buy at GNC. And the good news is it's not gone in 30 days either. Because once you have that knowledge, it's yours for life. And it's yours to either keep to yourself or share with others as you see fit. So I'm not going to tell you that something like that solves all your problems, but just knowing you have those types of things up here at your disposal raises your confidence levels dramatically. That can and will improve the quality of your life, dramatically so in some cases. Not true for pills, potions, and powders. Because even when the chips are down, it'll be there when you need it most. And that, in my opinion, that type of knowledge is priceless. Get out there and acquire it however you deem fit. But do it.
I agree.
Good to go.
We're going to take one more commercial break. And when we come back, I have a rant, a little pet peeve. that I have to share with the audience. I actually posted about it on Facebook today. So stay tuned. We'll be right back with more of the Blueprint Power Hour.
I'm going to tell him my wife loves your Facebook post.
Everybody wants to feel better, be healthier, and happier. If you don't sweat profusely on a regular basis, you won't feel as good as you could. Studies have shown the power of infrared sauna. Infrared penetrates 1 to 2 inches into the body. It helps those with back pain, fibromyalgia, arthritis, depression, and anxiety. Patients get relief from infrared sauna. The Good Health Sauna has been shown to be an exercise mimetic, conveying many of the same benefits of cardio. There are a lot of reasons people buy a Good Health Sauna, but the bottom line is you will be a much happier, healthier person by using the Good Health Sauna every day. You'll crave it, you'll love it, and it will be the best purchase you have ever made. Good Health Saunas provide commercial-grade saunas for in-home and commercial use, backed by the best lifetime warranty in the industry. Unmatched customer service and the best financing makes owning one easy and will fit any budget. Go to goodhealthsauna.com/superhumanradio to learn more and save 25% off.
When craving a snack, reach for Select Savory Snack Sugar-Free Biltong, the healthy alternative to sugar-laden beef jerky. They use a fattier cut of beef, making it more tender and flavorful. For mealtime, choose from their 63 seasonings, which are sugar and additive-free. From chipotle rub to savory pumpkin spice, you'll find an option to suit your palate. Go to shrnetwork.biz/SSS today. Use code SHR15 to save 15% on any meat snack or seasoning. Savor the flavor today.
By now, you're aware of the cognitive benefits of nootropics. My friends over at Pure Nootropics are giving my listeners 10 to 30% off their already great prices on over 70 high-quality nootropics. Stock up on DHM so you can feel good after your holiday celebration, or try the Superhuman Stack to boost your brain and energize your day. Go to shrnetwork.biz/pure, that's PURE, and start saving today. TaylorMade Health is focused on making sure you're able to perform and look your best. They are a leader in game-changing supplements and cosmetic products. Whether you want to increase strength, expedite recovery, facilitate soft tissue repair, or reduce deep wrinkles, TaylorMade Health has you covered. TaylorMade Health is also the home to Dr. C's products such as BPC, BPC Plus, and the Chill Pill. All of my listeners can get 20% off their first order with code TRY20. That's TRY20. This code can even be used on subscription orders. Visit shrnetwork.biz/try20 today and use code TRY20 for 20% off your first order.
Quest Nutrition makes bars, cookies, chips, and pizzas out of complete dairy-based proteins. Our products minimize net carbs and sugar without sacrificing taste. Each delicious chocolate chip, cookie chunk, and crunchy crumble is custom made to maintain Quest macros. It's time to enjoy foods that work for you, not against you. It's time to enjoy your Quest.
I love beef. And if you love beef, listen up. I've discovered the best tasting beef in the world, and that's not an exaggeration, at Piedmontese.com. The Piedmontese breed is famous from Italy for being lean and unbelievably tender, with half the fat and calories of traditional beef. Even typically tough cuts are tender when it comes from the Piedmontese cows. And for the first time ever, Piedmontese cows are being raised here in the USA. Get 25% off all beef and free shipping on orders of $100 or more at Piedmontese.com with code SHR. Go to Piedmontese.com and use code SHR today. You will never eat any other type of beef ever again.
You're listening to the Superhuman Channel. Don't hate us because we feel good.
Welcome back.
My wife loves your Facebook post, by the way.
Which one? The one that I'm going to talk about now?
All of them. We'll be riding along in the car, and she's like, "Oh, Carl posted again." He doesn't mince any words.
So, peptides are all the rage today, right? Everybody wants to know about peptides, and as a result, anytime there's a rage going on, there are people who take positions in that category as experts. And I'm not an expert. And in fact, Elisa said, "Why did you make that post this morning?" And I said, "Well, I saw a post on Facebook inviting people to attend this seminar on peptides put on by experts. And these experts were names I didn't know except one person I knew. And it must have been 24 people on that list of experts.
Wow.
And I looked at it and I thought, I wonder why no one ever reaches out to me to be part of an expert panel about peptides. And the reason I ask myself that question is because I first started talking about peptides in 2006 with Anthony Roberts. We did in 2006, throughout the year of 2006, we first started talking about IGF-1 versus IGF-1 long arthring.
Yeah.
We did a show on mechanogrowth factor versus pegylated mechanogrowth factor.
Yeah.
We did a show on GHRP6 and, of course, growth hormone, all in 2006. Now, keep in mind that since then, I have been using peptides every day for probably the better part of 14, close to 15 years.
That's an expert, in my opinion.
Well, and I've experimented with every peptide I've ever talked about, ARA 290, PE 2228. I mean, I use them all. I assess them. I use them in high doses sometimes to see what I notice.
Yeah.
And so, you know, and then I looked at the landscape. So as peptides became more and more popular, there were people who took positions in the peptide space. One of the greatest contributors to expanding our understanding about growth hormone secretagogues specifically, and that is modified growth releasing factor 1 through 29 plus GHRP2 or GHRP6, was a guy who simply went by the name of Dat Be True, DAT, the letter B, TRUE. He ended up getting busted because not only was he doing this research and opening up the knowledge base of peptides, but more specifically, growth hormone secretagogues. He opened up his own peptide website, and that was the only advertiser on his forum. And so, you know, the FDA caught up with them, the DEA caught up with them, and while he's not in jail today, he's out of business. And I'd love to have him on the show. I wanted to have him on the show because I was talking about peptides. When I learned about Dat Be True, I messaged him on his board. I said, come on the show. He says he didn't want to. He says he doesn't want to bring that much attention to himself, and I respected that. That's fine. Around that time, I started getting emails from a doctor named Dr. Bill Seeds. He was listening to the show, my show, and he loved when I talked about peptides. And I probably could find these emails. He said, man, you are just killing it. You're breaking, releasing information that's going to change the world. And it was very generous with his compliments. Don't get me wrong. I'm not. But then you fast forward. Dr. Seeds founded the International Peptide Society. And I would imagine that every one of those experts has listened to at least one of my pep talks.
Yeah. But
yet I don't fall into the category of an expert. Well, maybe because I don't paint myself as an expert. Maybe I don't say, hey, I'm a peptide expert, right? And I messaged Anthony Roberts this morning, and I said, I guess I'm a peptide trailblazer. If I'm not an expert, I'm the trailblazer because I'm talking about and using peptides way before any of these new experts, this bumper crop of experts. And don't get me wrong. You look at Dr. Elizabeth Yerth, you look at Dr. Suzanne Turner. These are peptide experts. They're not only talking about peptides, they're learning about peptides, they're using peptides in their practices with their patients, and they're getting results. So I'm not saying, oh, these experts don't know anything. But what I am saying is you would think that being the trailblazer, the forerunner, a guy who was talking about peptides before Dat Be True, a guy who was talking about peptides before Dr. Bill Seeds became the head of International Peptide Society, would at least get an honorable mention amongst all these experts. And I don't. And I guess it does bother me because it's like every one of those people have learned something from me and my shows that they made their own, and then they were telling other people, well, I'm an expert. See, I know all this stuff. Nobody ever says, yeah, I learned about it on Superhuman Radio. Like oxytocin right now. Oxytocin. I happen to know that since I did the oxytocin show, that oxytocin is the most anabolic peptide we know of, oxytocin sales for every peptide company out there has gone through the roof. And you can bet that those peptide experts are listening to the show, reading the research that I referred to, and now they're making it their own. Well, I'm an expert. I know about oxytocin. Nobody ever goes back and says, man, Carl Lenoir is the guy who's been talking about this for 15, I'm sorry, I'm going to curse, fucking years.
Yeah.
Like, when I say something that isn't my own, I usually credit the person. Like, I'll say, Ron Penna is the one who said to me that what you remove from your diet is more important than what you add to your diet. I always try to credit the person, and maybe that's my mistake. Maybe that's why people go, oh, he's not an expert. He's learning this stuff from everybody else. Well, where are they learning it from? They weren't born knowing this stuff. They're learning it from somebody else too.
Yeah, it brings up the question, what is a true expert in this field? And for my money, that is and always has been someone that uses it day in and day out, has done their own research and practical application. I can tell you, there was one medical doctor that I got into it once online. He's a doctor, right? He's got to know about these steroid things. And he says to me, clenbuterol is the most dangerous steroid out there.
He thought it was a steroid.
Beyond the fact that he couldn't even spell the drug's name correctly, he thought clenbuterol, an asthma medication, was a steroid.
It's actually an adrenergic agonist. I mean, it just antagonist. It antagonizes the adrenal receptor.
And so I'm sure, though, to the general population,
or maybe it agonizes. I'm sorry if I get that wrong. Sorry, I didn't mean to keep cutting you off.
Okay. The point is, it's about as similar to a steroid as a zucchini.
Yeah.
I'm sure to the majority of the population, they would look at that doctor as a quote unquote expert instead of, let's say, Dan Duchesne, who used every drug under the sun and then eventually wrote about it. One quick story, and then I'll let it go. When they were prosecuting Dan Duchesne in federal court, the government, one of the government's witnesses, steroid experts, so to speak, was on the stand. And when Duchesne's lawyer cross-examined him, he asked him, he says, "Where'd you learn all your stuff on steroids?" The prosecutor's jaw dropped when he looked over at Duchesne and he pointed to him and he said, "I read his books."
Right.
So true story, that's true expert. They're not always right. They often learn things the hard way, but that's a real expert.
And the truth of the matter is the study. So I had done a show 1 week that showed that oxytocin reverses osteoporosis in women with a doctor from Brazil. She was very hard to understand, but the study was profound. They took ovariectomized rodents, so we knew it wasn't the estrogen. And they gave them oxytocin and their bones remineralized. And, so then the following week, Kirkland Morletti is the one who sent me the study that shows that trenbolone elicits a 50-fold increase in tissue and blood oxytocin. And I said to him, this makes oxytocin the most anabolic peptide in the world. It builds bone. It builds muscle. We know that it builds the brain. Dr. Yurt and I talked about its effects on the brain. It's like, I've named it the human reward hormone, because when you do the right things, and that's have lots of sex and love lots of people, you oxytocin goes through the roof. And it's rewarding you for being a human, because the number one job that we have is to have babies from a species. That's job one. Nothing else matters but having babies, and that's it. So oxytocin is the human reward hormone. And the truth of the matter is, the reason that Anthony Roberts came on the show and talked about peptides, because at that point in time, there was no one else qualified. Anthony had just published the quintessential anabolic steroid book, Anabolic Steroid Ultimate Research Guide. And he talked about growth hormone and peptides in the book, even though it was about anabolic steroids. And so the truth of the matter is that Anthony Roberts and I are the Lewis and Clark of peptides. We burnt the path to the West, and everybody followed us and took credit for getting there.
Like Fedosia, right?
Oh, I introduced Fedosia agrestis. I found some obscure study in the Asian Journal of Andrology about a guy named Dr. Toyin Yakubu at the University of Ilorin in Ilorin, Nigeria, who published this study that showed that Fedosia raised testosterone level in humans and rodents. It had been used for thousands of years in Africa as a libido builder and a fertility drug for men. And it was a plant. It grows in Southern Africa. And next thing you know, 4 different companies put Fedosia in their product. Like if I was Dr. Joe McCullough, I would have waited to import the stuff, and then I would have done the show.
Yeah, and how many royalties did you get for that?
yeah, I got royalties. I got this. I didn't even get a thank you. Nobody even referred to me. They never said, "Hey, we learned about it." Anthony Roberts is the one that wrote that everybody learned about Fedosia on my show. He's always one thing about Anthony. He hasn't always agreed with me, but he has always written when I was usurped or underestimated or pushed to the side by the majority of people. He's always wrote about. He wrote about the fact that I came up with Fedosia, and then I came up with another one that was the same doctor, Dr. Toyin Yakubu, that ended up going into a product that Matt, what's his name? The guy who came out with Craze. He created a product. He advertised on my show out of courtesy because he knew that I discovered that herb that was in his product. It was an aromatase inhibitor.
Yep. Yeah. And you know what? That happens a lot, unfortunately. Hopefully Anthony writes about this because he's been part of that story since day one. So
he's going to be on the anniversary show. He was the first guest I dedicated an entire hour to. Before that, I used to do 2 to 3 interviews in 1 hour.
Wow.
But when we started talking about peptides, and there were peptide shows, he came on, we talked about one thing for the whole hour. Because I saw peptides. I thought these things are interesting. Very interesting. And but yeah, I'm not a peptide expert. I'll never be called upon by any of these schmucks that call themselves peptide experts. Dr. Betsy Yurt is the only one, the truth of the matter is, that gives me credit. You know, she was at an IPS an International Peptide Society convention, and several of her slides, she quoted me. I was flattered. I was taken back. I couldn't believe it. It was my name. She said, Carl Lenore said this about this peptide, and she's the only one that's actually ever put a flashlight on me.
Yeah, you know what? To her credit, then there's not many people like that'll do that. Yeah, not many.
But anyway, I am not a peptide expert. I am a trailblazer. That's all. I wanted to get that off my chest because it's, the 18th of this month, we're doing our 15-year anniversary show. And I've seen a lot of people come and go, spikes, setting the world on fire. And then they're gone.
Yeah.
And, today they're doing this. And I don't want to mention any names, but there was a guy that used to be in the health and fitness podcast segment. And then one day he woke up and decided, no, I'm going to be in the wealth building segment. I'm going to start talking about Bitcoin and investing. And when he exited the segment, he said, there's nothing new to talk about in health and fitness. And I thought, you got to be joking, right?
Yeah.
Like every day there's something new. But
yeah,
he wasn't making the money he wanted in this segment. And he figured if he did a show about investing, people would spend more money with him because you're talking about building wealth. People are going to spend a lot more money learning about building wealth than they are about building their bodies. Unfortunately, that's the reality. It's an unfortunate reality. But so, yep. I'll still be here 15 years from now.
All right.
And I still won't be an expert in anything. There you go.
We can look back and laugh.
Yeah, we will laugh. We will. So staying power is an important thing. All right, look. Thanks for being here. Don't forget shrnetwork.biz/Coach Rob. Use the code SHR5 and get 3 issues, 3 months of the Blueprint Bulletin for less than $15, plus the fat loss special, which is worth it by itself.
Plus the whole library.
Share the show. Please always share the show. Please always share the show. And we'll see everybody tomorrow with more Superhuman Radio. Thank you for watching and listening today.
What? No, that was something different I saw.